This is the report, investigative report on Electricity Company of Ghana's, that's ECG's container hold-up at Tema port and related procurement issues. This for Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Prepared by Technical Committee, March 2025. This report Ghana, we are ahead of the Energy Ministry. Minister, how did Kevin get this? Because I control Ghana, the media space. I have over 77 people on the ground. Ghana. There's nothing I want. I'm in Sanka, and whatever we get, yen fire and Sanka, did the raw detail now. So this is it. Now, so we'll read the report now. You get to a session with so much detailed finding. Report near 103 pages, 103 pages. Andrew and Adjo, myself and my team, we were on phone the whole night, about 4 hours. We read through it and made sure we ticked every single, crossed every T and dotted every I, because we wanted to know all the facts. 103 pages. Not a kind document to come and break down for Ghanaians to understand. Into Udru page 4, you will be a friend. Detailed findings. Say, report to we na me water marking am the two system nima Energy Ministry ni ba omombra magasa meboa. These are the facts. Bibia nima obi abetu makase a contest to Ghana. Now let's move forward. We are going to read and explain. Oko page 20 in the report. Key decisions that led to the container hold up at the port. These are the key decisions. The container hold up after the committee investigations, nyabotre obeti ase obo say MPP omo before kwasiafo. We need to jail all of them. Now 4.1.1 key decisions that led to the container hold up at the port. 1. ECG decided to use costs, insurance and freight as their preferred Incoterm in engaging local suppliers of foreign goods, requiring that ECG clears the containers upon arrival at the port. 2. These are all the key decisions leading to the hold-up. 2. To facilitate this, management decided to set aside and transfer 5 million Ghana cedis each week into a shipping account to be used by the shipping department in clearing ECG containers that arrive at the port. Into ECG, imagine say, containers are be a department. And imagine say, almost every time biano disikabe 5 million Ghana cedis. Now, that department, where your investigations, the Omo uncover and make sure mess have a back. Sad department, ECG department, all that they did was they were putting 5 million Ghana cedis in it. Send your beya every time Omo container bed report na no clear. That was basically to sit down every week biano near their tomb. Container bedru ya ECG ship container bedru ya na no clear. They didn't want to incur any debt at the port. In the investigations, Omo say there was a department like that. ECG edisikatum every time. The biano sika dem 5 million Ghana cedis. It contain a new report na no my den omoyi yanko enim. Now okay point 3. Now remember, 5 million Ghana cedis no every week. Every week biana ECG transfer 5 million to. And ya 1 month, and ya 2 months, and ya 3 months, and ya every single week. Na ECG 5 million Ghana. Normally I to sa department na accounting shipping department omo say every week be 5 million baby dem normally I clear ECG goods or port. Enti ECG was never supposed to encounter anything like demurrage. Say ECG port a ship and a container abeka Tema port na ECG nyesika because there's always money sitting and waiting. Now, point 3, this is page 20. You have a published document now. Point 3, the committee noted that this initiative greatly assisted with containers being cleared without them piling up at the port. Inti Omo who say in the investigations no, omo who say sa 5 million am de to a week biara na eboa omo ye dey omo tumi eyi omo nyoma free port wano abra Ghana emboka. Point 4, page 20. However, management in 2022 omo say emom afi eye 2022 no BBC management no stopped transferring the 5 million Ghana cedis into the designated shipping account. Inti almost suddenly 2022 ECG management led by Dubik Mahama, that time not Kelly Gajepo and a board chair, they stopped moving money into the shipping account. Sa account na every week bia omudi sika tum 5 million Ghana every week tum send a beya ECG container be reporter omeyi ni fast no every week no 2022 no mujaye Dubik Mahama na ye MD Kelly Gajepo and na ye board chair. Suddenly they stopped. Now the question is so mujaya wa wo hwa dey be see. It means to say ECG containers be reporter. They cannot clear it as frequently as they used to, meaning there's going to be backlog. It means containers are going to pile up. Because the moment you stop the flow of money, it will be clear goods. Every container that comes to be it will be stuck. Now the question is, why did they do that? Page 20 in the investigative report. Point 5. The containers then started piling up at the port due to the unavailable funds to clear them. In 2.5, the containers started piling up after Dubik Mahama or MD or Kelly Gajepo any board they decided to say they did not give any reason, they stopped. So the containers started piling up. Now point 6. The Material and Transport Directorate raised the issue at a management meeting but received the response that there were no funds. You see, Transport Directorate no more ECG at a management meeting not Dubik Mahama or MD nitiwo and a transport for na share a shipping and logistics no raise say boss 5 million na de be to a shipping account no say sika no mo jaitua your containers so air pile up Omubusa Dubik Mahama ewo management meeting no o sike ni ho obi anfa no Jimmy nkoda sike ni ho enti omu pushi ye Dubik Mahama say sike ni ho omu free onko no wa and omu so ye din. Let's move forward. Now go point 7. The Material and Transport Directorate wrote at least 3 memos appealing to management to release funds to enable them to clear the containers. However, no response has been received from management regarding these appeals. Inti transport for no almost any transport directorate for no they kept pushing. At least they wrote about 3 letters. Ekoma management and not Dubik Mahama Edano say, boss, the containers are piling. We are incurring losses. We are incurring debt. Ghana for bre Sikano air pilo or ekeba. Dubik Mahama receiving the 3 letters all told them he does not have any money to give them. He ignored them. Kelly Gajepo was the board chair. Mijujum amount. Senabaya ochina kakobi ana kwasiebi embeka se kwasiebi ana kakobi metina radio so mbeka se ai na NDC for mijujum. Now yanko enim. Let's go to page 21. Sorry. Hey, I've gone ahead of myself. Yanko page 21 in Samuel Dawson. Ubehu point 8. This is still the investigative report. This is the first time. Minister, because I can tell a fucking guy. Yes, I control. Now, point 8. The same investigative report. I'm say. In as much as the containers kept piling up with resultant demurrage coupled with management excuse of the unavailability of funds, ECG through the management director continued awarding new CIF contracts without using competitive procurement methods, requiring the payment of 90% of the contract sum when the suppliers submit the shipping document. Now, Procurement Transport Directorate for Pushia Dubik Mahama Eka se sikeni wono The same time ana containers na pile no na ECG through the board Kaligajapo air board chair and the big Mahama ECG director no, they were still giving a year contract to companies to be shipping containers or more things to Ghana. In fact, they were basically giving them 90% funding for assuring them to bring it. Into Ghana for na we are piling, nyome pile, Kaligajapo, any idea, do big Mahama says the same time, no, they were still telling shippers to bring more containers. Busangosa, why? Because the ones at the port, your transport directorate for the we don't have money, we need to clear them. They are piling up, we are paying the mortgage. Still, also winning funds, but you are able to still contract companies to bring more containers. This is what the investigators, sir, auditors, the investigations, this is what they came to see. So I say, Obi ye BB. One, Sikana also declare your port, I stop it, Mbabium. Two, Omo in charge of clearing of the goods, air catch the MD say, management, your normally pilot, a keba, the mortgage chair, or this skinny. Three, the same time as Sikeni Wano, do big Mahan management and still air shipping your ma ede ba a yeteba port. Why is it so? Because I want to add intra. Let's move on. Now, point 9. Listen to point 9. Per custom laws, consignment that are not entered for clearance after 21 days of discharge at the port are registered under uncleared cargo list UCL and therefore become the property of the state. Almost say during the investigations, who say Embra or why say container ebe di Tema port na after 21 days nipa na or ship container ne buy no when to man clear container na automatically sa container na ebe ye Ghana dia. It becomes a property of the state. And in this case, it's a state agency that basically imported these containers. Until right now, 21 days, the state agency has not paid to clear the containers. So it has become a state property. Into technically, Oma Manasha de Guo and a demorrage channel and are still almost shipping more deba. Now, Mamin Kobe Nim. It says, oh, team. Okay. Now, when you read the point 10, this is what it says. Containers that remained uncleared for a period of time attract demurrage charges payable to the shipping line. Inti, so containers in the report wa. Na say 21 days. Na so obi ambe year. Sa shipping line na ebia Tema port. Companies na omu hosti containers na esi o masase no. Omu keep containers no. Now demurrage no was say boa o containers every single day biano it builds up. E kano almost all container amount you need to pay basically to make it easy for you shipping line and our companies now a host o container na and I say container this see o masase so port one you have to pay every day for not coming to clear your container. The big Mahama knew. ECG board led by Kaligajipo as the board chair, they knew, they still ignored. They were still shipping containers outside Ghana coming to the port, even though they knew, say, they had hundreds of containers sitting there attracting demurrage. They didn't care. They were still shipping in containers. Dubik said there's no money, but they are still ordering more things to be stuck at the port. Why is it so? Somebody is doing something. There is a plan. Point 11. The number of containers on UCL kept rising with exponential increase in demurrages. Into omo who say afedie containers no ba na eba ECG a onyi containers no ba na eba ECG so a mo an omo kra and abegu na demurrage ache no and sika ne kosoro. Dubik Mahama does not care. Kaligajapo, who was the board chair, did not care. Now the question here is, why do you think they know that containers are piling up and they are still shipping containers back? Why do they know, say, the containers are attracting demurrage? Why do you think they didn't do anything about it? The answer is in the pudding. There's a plan. There's a game. They know what they are doing. They are piling it for a reason. Now let's go to point 12. By December 2024, the number of ECG containers on uncleared cargo list UCL had totaled 2,491. Almost say at the end of December 2024, no, not Dubik Mahama, crack containers is 2,941 in the seaport war. Clear any guho. Busa say why? Sa containers see a good port way. Where investigations now, John Jinapo, Emma, a committee, no, this is their findings. Why do you think they are doing that? Why are they not concerned? Because it is looking more like the more original mutual crumple. At the end of the day, it could be say a bit to make containers 100,000 times, but they are leaving the containers there to attract more debt. I didn't know more, yes, sir. Now let's go on. When you get to point 13, point 13, this is what it says. Management wrote to the Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority for restoration and request was subsequently granted. Inti management as actual letter comma GRE per restoration and a GRE that time na ekufuadu nipano amishadai ananyonwa na sa kronfona and abianya amishadai akwebina na when we do retirement na ekufuadu sa extending they kept that guy there and that guy restored that guy would granted that. Now read point 14 there's something there, let me show you. Point 14 in the investigative report or see the Materials and Transport Directorate initiated negotiations with the shipping lines with respect to waivers of demurrage cost and had a favorable deal from the shipping lines. In the Material and Transport the Department of ECG, they wrote a letter to the shipping line. Companies now holding containers no port to say, ya percent ka enemo edin komona moma ye waiver bi. Now waiver no anke boya made me clear the containers no. This is a department with ECG. They were trying to take action because they thought to say a Canada doors 2,941 containers and a guo. They wanted to have a negotiation with a shipping line so that the shipping line can meet them halfway for them to be able to ask for some waiver. And as a Entisobi, now to me a clear container. No, this is the transport and material for no. They are trying to be proactive. Now, Rebecca said, where is the evidence? I make sure one letter. I have about 20 letters. I have container numbers, but I make sure letters be this is one of the letters they wrote to one of the letters they wrote to the shipping line. In this study, this letter was written on the 18th of October 2024. 18th of October 2024. Technically, almost a month after Dubik Mahama resigning a free infant ECG. So when you read the letter, you will see it. Electricity Company of Ghana, Electro Voltage House. The letter is dated 18th October 2024. Now, when you read, it says the commercial director, Meridian Port Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, Tema port new for no, no mu hold the containers no, into na ECG for department no, actually letter come on say, percent come mu waiver bi, nanka tumi den, eboa na clear containers the team. So study a letter the date now. October 2024, now Afenyo Markin was the board chair. Afenyo Markin became the board chair on July 2024. July 2024, and Afenyo Markin a board chair. Until when this letter was being written to MPS for a waiver, Afenyo Markin was the board chair of the ECG. And that department of ECG, were worried. They really wanted a waiver into a mutual letter. And to remember, this letter, Afenyo Markin should know about it. Unless as a board chair, he wants to come in front of Jakpa and tell the whole Ghana, say he knew nothing about this letter and that the letter was written by that department head without consulting the MD and also the board. Until Afenyo Markin should come out and tell us, say he doesn't know anything about this letter. Now, what is in the letter? Let me read what's in the letter. So the board chair, Ono Afenyo Markin, your letter we no, on an LED board no. Now read the letter now. We respectfully request a waiver of terminal charges accrued on the accrued on the unit attached below, which have overstayed in your terminal. Many of the units were imported as supply inputs for various electrification expansion programs and a stock for critical repair and maintenance. However, due to many reasons impacting on our supply chain, these units have grossly overstayed at the terminal and attracted prohibitive detention charges. I'm sorry, it's very faint. So I'm doing my best to read for you to know what is actually in that letter that that department at ECG wrote to the MPS, the shippers, the Omanobu Hodi containers. It is our hope and expectation that a 90% waiver will be granted on all accrued charges to enable us to clear the units by the beginning of the week. This letter was written on the 18th of October 2024. Afenyo Markin was the board chair of ECG. And the department that wrote this letter, a department is under the leadership of Dubik Mahama, who is the MD, and Afenyo Markin, who is the board chair. Now, into Stadia, all the letter was trying to say, then they say, how much your letter come MPS? Ocean Paul signing a friend, Engineer David B. Asamoah, Managing Director, Acting, Deputy Managing Director, Engineer and Operations, ECG, Director, Materials and Transport, into the head of Materials and Transport, Mr. David B. Asamoah. He actually wrote this letter to MPS, Tema Port, to say they need a 90% waiver. Omunyi ekani bebre free sunenka 10%. Na omuntimi enclear containers 2,941 na egu na attracted more cost no. Afenyo Markin was the board chair, Dubik Mahama was board chair. The question is, these two people, did they know about this letter? Can they tell us if they had access, they were told about this letter? Does Afenyo Markin know anything about this letter? Does Dubik Mahama know anything about this letter? Because this letter was sent to MPS. That's our first document. Afenyo Markin is guilty. And anything I can say, let us all come together. Obwa, the crime, now you can't watch them no. The crime, now you can't watch them no. Afenyo Markin knows everything about this crime. In fact, today in Parliament, he gave you a lot of information. And to remember, this letter, we will publish it, we will let the world know. Afenyo Markin needs to come and tell us whether he knew about this letter as the board chair, and also Dubik Mahama, if he also knew about this letter as the MD. We want answers. It's simple as that. Now, when you read the investigation or investigative report, there's something here I want you to look at. Oko eye number ana point 15. Point 15. Where your page 22 in the report. We will publish it. Don't worry. Page 22.15. Mami numusio kakra. Now, point 15. The shipping department began processing the affected containers for clearing and reached the point of payment, but management failed to allocate funds for this exercise. Into him, the department now, omucho letter comma MPS say, 90% waiver no. It is looking like, or it looked like say MPS agreed. Say okay. Say I buying ECG much rubber say more per 90% waiver. We are all working together. And they more for 90% waiver no. Now more for 10% in Bramambesa. But time Omasako management led by who? Led by Dubik Mahama, who is the MD, and Afenyo Markin as the board chair, no, they said there's no money. Remember, these are the same people who were giving contracts for companies to bring their more containers to the port. When these people were able to negotiate to make sure these containers were cleared, Afenyo Markin and Dubik Mahama told the transport and the material department now, who were trying to talk to MPS to say, give us 90% waiver. Afenyo Markin and Dubik say they don't have money. This is the investigative report. They made it sure they will publish it. Until when they went back, Afenyo and then Dubik said there's still no money. Even the 10% now Karamunkotiano almost skinny. Now, point 16. I had a day because my bachelor document let very important. Afenyo, me say per this document I am showing you, he's a criminal. Now, point 16 now. 2 clearing agents. The time now mo catch Ghana for any ECG transport department now almost waiver 90%. No, the same time 2 clearing agents, Mint Logistics, first followed by Tr0uble Bond Limited, were introduced to the shipping department by the then managing director through the director of materials and transport as companies contracted to clear the UCL. You know what happened? Dubik Mahama, that time not the MD, on the Afenyo Markin, they did what? They brought on 2 companies. And companies, Edina me boy, Mint Logistics, and Tr0uble Bond Limited. Now, sa 2 companies way, and Dubik, introducing ma NPS, hold the containers no port through the transport department of ECG, say these are the 2 shipping companies that can clear the containers from the port. Remember, ECG had gone to MPS to deal directly with MPS to give them a 90% waiver for them to pay and clear. Dubik Mahama can say there's no money. Afenyo Markin can say there's no money. But the same Afenyo Markin and Dubik Mahama brought 2 companies on board and said, the 2 companies, and a transport department, and for Monko the MPS, no Monko clear containers. Where are these companies coming from? Who are these companies? The ECG has been clearing its containers from the port every week by putting 5 million Ghana cedis aside every week, and nothing happened. Why is it that suddenly the 5 million is not coming again? They have stopped that. They have piled containers at the port. Now they are telling MPS, who are the ones holding the containers, say there are some 2 companies be from somewhere. Those companies are the ones who are coming to clear the containers. And can you be Afenyo Markin Chebiano? Monko awo or teshi or sheteshi. Afenyo Markin or sheteshi is here. Awo fio hono or Kwaraminu Afenyo Markin. Now, my mention of see. So, 2 companies. Your friend Baku Mint Logistics and your friend Baku Tr0uble Bond. Now, my mention of DB. You bought 2 companies ding. Now, Tiadie. Subsequently, Mint Logistics Limited was awarded a contract to clear 1,110 containers at 160,000 Ghana cedis. First, Omudinkaima Mint Company say Uncle clear 1,110 containers and ECG Chia 160,000 Ghana. 160,000, which is Ghana over 16 billion. Edema, sa company way from nowhere say omunko clear containers no port war. You see, so 2 companies from nowhere have been created, and they are the ones who have been given money by ECG that did not have money to clear their own containers, but they have been able to get 2 companies that they can pay to go and clear containers at the port. The board chair is Afenyo Markin at this point. This is the time. This is the same time around Dubik Mahama preparing to leave. He created these 2 companies and left. And then his companies, were the ones coming to clear the port containers. So per container, 1,110 container. But could be almost clearing 160,000 Ghana. Do the math. TNA. So our company a friend Mint Logistics, Afenyo Markin, any Dubik Mahama Mama and contract say containers 110 and 1,110. So our company didn't clear. Now each container be an ometua company 160,000 Ghana per container, per one container, or clear 1,110. Mint company no clear 1,110 containers. Container ba could be a lift free airport to a port will be ano omobetua 160,000 Ghana cedis. 160,000 Ghana cedis. All Ghana cedis no the 160,000 old Ghana no 160 billion saying container ba could be a company by left be ano 1.6 billion old Ghana 1.6 billion. It is a company way area or left 1,110 containers. Abakubia Yutuanika 1.6 billion. Or the brand new Ghana na 177.6 million. That company took that money. ECG na Onisika 5 million Ghana to be taking their containers out. No, they have given one company, Mint company, from nowhere to clear 1,110 companies. 110 containers, each container be almost 160,000 Ghana. Or the old Ghana numa 1.6 billion or clear 1,110. O calculate here and the Ghana is 177.6 million. One way the Afenyo Markin aye. And internal catch him say, let us all come together and fight it. He knows he committed this crime as the board chair. Now my mention what now when you go forward, the Dawalt Bond, near two companies. The second company, Dawalt Bond Limited, was also awarded a contract to clear 200 containers in 4 weeks at 115,000. Ain't meant there onya 1,110 containers to clear. But could be a bit 160,000. And at Dawalt no, you can say unclear how many? Unclear 200 containers. Bakubia, yabamano container Bakubia 115,000 Ghana. Old Ghana no 1.1 billion. Container Bakubia. Afenyo Markin, I'm asking, does he know about this as the board chair? Now, my mention what DB. Oh, two companies let's pause here. My mention the background of the companies. We have gone to dig the companies. Maybe show what DB, you'll be shocked. Now let me show you the background of the companies. Mint company in NA. You see the Mint company? Mint company in NA. Now let me show you the details. You'll be shocked. Only say Mint company only 10 workers. Afenyo Markin do big mahama. We are fucking criminals. They are supposed to be locked up. Okay? Company, no, we decided to dig the companies. Those two companies, Mint Logistics and Dawalt. Now this is what we were able to find. Oh, in our next production, we will show the faces of all the owners. We will show the faces of everybody. The company owners. Now, the Mint company in the NA, Mint Logistics, 2017, BSR company, no. Now, sir, go down and check the details of the company. Let me show you something here. Nipa, omuye juma company, no, omundru, omuye 10, just 10. Only 10 people. Now, entity company, Edin Oma company ni omudini yawo Rita in 3 director, the pin number oho, ya the tin number. And yawo Edward Abuaji osaya director, ono director waha. Enti company no, it belongs to 2 people. The directors are Rita in 3, a director. And Edward Abuaji, also a director. These are the 2 people. Now, so in detail, now checking the number of workers on most our company, we are 10 pe. The Mint company, no, the workers are only 10.